What's going on, guys? It's Orangey, and we're back with another lengthy patch notes, which is good. You always want more patch notes than less. It is when I say lengthy, it is pretty lengthy. It stops like where? It stops right here. It stops right there. So it has quite a bit to go. So in this video, I'm just gonna be talking about base Call of Duty, like multiplayer zombies, and then Warzone. And I'm gonna be doing a separate video for ranked. Disclaimer: there is a lot of percentages in here. So like, decreased by this percent or increased by this percent. So if I start to get annoying by all those percentages, just know that's why. There's a lot of numbers in this one. Well, I mean, I'm already annoying as is, but that's not the point. So firstly, the new map Rio is coming, which basically we already knew that. Rio, new 6v6. New operators, A-Train and Firecracker, which is the the boys collab. So that's Firecracker, and then it doesn't even show A-Train. Okay. Well, I mean, I'm pretty sure you've seen his operator bundle. New modes, which is Headquarters, Team Gunfight, Infected, and Ranked. Again, Ranked has its own section because it's so long. Our new weapons is the TAC Evolver and the HRM9. Because yes, we need another LMG. We have like 30. Because Sledgehammer is so generous, we're getting another event, which is the boys event. This is what you have to do to get the rewards. It's not an XP event like the Magma Camo, so don't trip out. I know a lot of people were like, that's way too much XP, but I mean, you get it while playing the game passively, so like, what's the problem? But it was a lot of XP, I'm not gonna lie. Oh, well, here you go. Here goes the A-Train bundle. That's what he looks like in game, and his rival, that's not a rival line, is it? That's MCW. That's the MCW. Do you really want me to read all this? I don't know if like if anyone's still watching this video this deep in, but do I really need to read all this? It's just, customization fixes, UI fixes, and overall just bug fixes right here. More minimal fixes. You can now see pros and cons displayed for several attachments, or incorrected ones. Several attachments now show their true effects. I don't know why they were hiding that. No, it's probably have to deal with some bug not showing up. They fixed the bug we get kicked back to the menu while viewing your daily challenges, reporting a player, or resetting back to default settings, so you no longer get kicked back to the menu. You can no longer third-person spectate on Control, Cutthroat, Search and Destroy, and War, which, you already couldn't do that. I mean, now you couldn't. You could before, but for audio, this is huge. Teammates will no longer play enemy sound effects upon sliding, landing, or from a fall. That's, great. They shouldn't have been doing that in the first place. But, another good fix. Footsteps are improved for people walking on puddles. That's, another W. And they resolve audio issues while loading into the map. Enemy turrets, Wilsons, and chopper gunner kill streaks will now disable nearby spawn points. That's great for, not spawn capping, or spawn trapping, I mean. They fixed some progression issues, some map changes. This is pretty big, so we will go through this. For Estate, the kitchen control capture point can no longer be contested from the main room. For Derail, they addressed some exploits that allowed players to access unintended locations. Garbage bins near the elevators will no longer open and obstruct the line of sight. So like the top will no longer open and you can't see what you're shooting at. It's pretty good, pretty good. Players in the Acti base tunnel will no longer take damage from explosives from the surface. Another great change that should have been, there in the first place. I've died of that like once or twice. You can now mount on the railings near the helipad. They reworked spawn points they reworked hardpoint capture points. So P1 is now Substation, P2 Propane Shack, P3 Red Pit, P4 Phonic Office, and P5 Green Shack. For Invasion, they did the same thing: P1 Courtyard, P1 Construction, P3 Bus Station, P4 Park, and P5 South Street. Karachi is the same: Rubble, Cafe, Minimart, Main Street, and Shacks. Scrapyard, the same. Center, Blue Warehouse, Red Warehouse, Forklift, and Storage. For Skid Row, they improved collision, so your recon drone wouldn't access outside the map. Subbase, they fixed where you can't get outside the map, and they fixed the hardpoint capture points, which is Loading Bay, Garage Bay, Crane, North Dock, and Tank. Terminal, they fixed where you can't get outside the map, and they changed the spot points. Or I keep on saying spot points, I meant hardpoint. Bookstore, lower lounge, shopping, dining, and apron. Underpass, they fixed where you couldn't get outside the map, and then the hardpoints. Pillars, warehouse, village, industrial yard, I don't know why you couldn't say that, and ditch. And now players can no longer get outside the map in War. Search and Destroy, sliding while planting or defusing the bomb will now put the player in a crouched position rather than standing. Now here comes the overall weapon attachments, buff, and nerfs, which is again, pretty decent. So let's jump into it. It's going to be a lot of decreased weapon talk. Oh, you know what? I'm just going to say buff or nerf. I think that fixes everything because no one wants to know the percentages, or I mean, the average player is not going to want to know the percentages. So SVA, that's a buff. Holger, that's a nerf. They increased the sprint to fire time. For the GG58, that's a nerf. For the FR556, that is a buff. For the MCW, it's a nerf, including the 16.5 MCW Cyclone Long Barrel, the RB Regal Heavy Stock, that is, both nerfs. But the Jack Raven kit got a buff. Yay! I love using the Jack Raven kit. I've never used that in my life. STB556 from MW2, that is a buff. The Kastoff 762, that is a buff. The Chimera from the MW2, that is also a buff. Tempest Razorback, buff. The FR Advancer, it's a buff and a nerf. They increased the maximum damage, but increased the maximum damage range. For the M16, they nerfed it and buffed it. I don't know who was using this, but they decreased the damage, but they increased the sprint to fire time, or they decreased, my bad, sprint to fire time and the aim down sight time. The Kastoff 74U, that is a buff. The Kastoff 545, that is a buff and a nerf. They increased the aim down sight time, or my bad, decreased it, I'm sorry, and they increased the maximum damage, but they decreased the maximum damage range. Here we go, baby. Sidewinder, decreased recoil and gun kick. Let's go, Sidewinder meta. That's what we all wanted. Lockman 762, that is a buff. The full auto, don't use it full auto, I'm guessing. Well, it's a buff and a nerf. They decreased the lower torso and upper torso, but they increased arm and hand. Yay. They buffed the Cronin Squall. They really buffed the FTAC Recon. They overall buffed the SO14. Now we're jumping into SMGs. WSP Swarm. They buffed it. I thought it couldn't get any better, but here we are. Rival 9. They did buff the Rival 9. Thank you. I use that as my main SMG. Thanks. By the way, if I sound like I'm holding my nose like this, it's really cold over here, and my weather, the weather has not been nice to me. I've been getting railed. The Striker 9 SMG, that is a pretty decent buff. The Lockman Shroud, they buffed it, kind of, but they decreased a lot of stuff, actually. Never mind, I guess, so it's a buff and a nerf, so they fixed it, but they really didn't fix it. But who's using the Lockman Shroud anyways? ISO 9mm from MW2. Incompatible underbarrel attachments can no longer be equipped. So I guess if you equipped them before, it gave no benefit. The Fennec 45 MW2 overall buff. Or I say overall, all this is buffs. Baz B overall buff. I mean, I don't know, because maximum damage is decreased, but leg and foot damage is increased. So I guess it's an overall nerf, actually. Lockman Sub, buff. MX9, that is a buff. So now shotguns. The Lockwood 680, nerf. Lockwood 300, nerf. Expedite 12, buff. Bryson 800, that's a nerf. Bryson 890, that's a buff. Now to the LMGs. For the Holger 26, that is a buff. DG 58 LSW, that is a nerf. For the Bruin 9, nothing changed. It's just incompatible underbarrel attachments. Damn, my allergies, I can't talk correctly. The Sagan from MW2, that is a buff. The HCR from MW2, that is also a buff. Marksman's, the DM56, that is a nerf. MTZ Interceptor, no, this is just for multiplayer, so this is a nerf. EBR from MW2, that is also a nerf. The Lockwood from MW2, that is a nerf. The Tempest Torrent is a buff. The Crossbow is also a buff, including the Thermite Bolts. LSW is a nerf. So on to the snipers. The Kedamar is a nerf. KV Inhibitor is also a nerf. Victus XMR is a buff, and the Karak is also a buff. Next is handguns. For the Renetti, they fixed a bug with the jack conversion kit. For the tier, I'm guessing this is somewhere in the middle because it's decreased, increase. So they buffed both of the Uller's Fury trigger and the Odin's Judgment trigger. They buffed both of those. They buffed the 9mm Daemon from MW2. For the launchers, they buffed the Stormender, and now it's attachments. So for the Razorhawk laser sight is a buff. For the OLEV laser is a nerf. The FTAC Grimline laser is a nerf. The Hook Box laser is a buff. The 50 cal Briar point round ammunition is somewhere in the middle. The Nightfall Suppressor XL is a nerf. For the round noise ammunition, they just, fixed the description. For perks, the Tac Mask now counters the Stormender launcher. Bone conduction, you can now hear footsteps better. Thank you. The thermal grenade now actually does damage. Because if someone threw that at you, you have nothing to worry about. It's not gonna hurt you at all. Trophy systems can no longer block cruise missiles. Your own suppression mine will not affect you. That's pretty huge, actually. The SAM turret got a nerf. So now it's just rank play, which that will be in a separate video. We'll do zombies last. Let's actually hop into Warzone and see what Warzone has to say. So here's the Warzone patch notes. For the Gulag, there's a new night vision variant, which good luck to everyone who's whoever gets that, because I'm pretty sure that's going to be very bad. Overall, just bug fixes and improved lighting for the overall map, which is, you know, pretty good. So for this week, we have Resurgence, Urzikstan, POI rotation, that's great to be back. Vondel and Ashika are now on map rotation for solos and duos. Vondel is always on for quads. Ashika is always on for quads. Plunder is back for Urzikstan for quads. Lockdown is back for Vondel for quads. And then, you know, the regular BR, solos, duos, trios, quads. I don't know if they're nerfing the Interceptor or not. There is no Interceptor or Swarm changes in these patch notes, but up top it does say we will be we'll also be shipping additional changes to the MTZ Interceptor and reducing medium to long range visibility for the WSP Swarm. So I guess more changes are coming in the future. I don't know why they just didn't do it here. We're gonna rapid fire this one, baby. So the Holger, a buff. M13, nerf. MCW, that is a buff. MTZ is a nerf. The Bruin is a nerf. The DG-LSW is a nerf. Pulmyot is a nerf. The TAC Eradicator is a nerf. The AMR-9 is a buff. The ISO 9mm is a nerf. The Rival 9, which I wish it got a damage buff, but it didn't. But again, overall buff. Striker 9 buff. That's actually pretty good. I'm going to be using that, or trying to. The KAMR is a nerf. These are attachment adjustments, ammunition, Dragon's Breath, nerf. Actually all Dragon Breath nerf. 50 cal Spire Point rounds, damage range benefit increased by 2% and velocity benefit reduced by 19. Laserhawk buff, Orly V laser nerf, AvTac Grimline laser nerf, and the Hookbox laser, that is a buff. The Nightfall Suppressor is a nerf, and then we also have nukes. We have nukes now. The Champion's Quest is now in the game. So to get it, you either get 30 wins. You either get 30 wins or 5 wins back to back. So whichever comes first. Starting today, if you had like 29 wins prior to this and then jump in and get 1 win and that's your like 30th, that does not count. It's 30 wins starting today. For perks, EOD works better. So it was down from 150, now it's 120. Quick fix is fixed, apparently. You now get warned of a bomb drone from up to 14 meters instead of 6. Overall audio buff and fixes, hopefully. I say hopefully because they could say whatever they want to hear. The game is probably like bugged to high hell right now. Bug fixes, you know, I'm not going to go through all of them because there's a lot of bug fixes. But yeah, that is it for Warzone patch notes. So I think the only thing we have left should be zombies, if I'm remembering correctly. Because this is ring play. So zombies, season 1 reloaded content. We basically got nothing. Well, kind of nothing, because we have a new warlord, Dokabe. Operators will find Dokabe's fortress at the top of a skyscraper in Zavarian City. So this warlord, Dokabe, uses drones, turrets, and Wilsons. He's gonna be pretty hard to take down if you remember building 21 and what that is. Some general fixes with bounties, field upgrades, nothing too big. Though they fixed where you can damage other players and zombies. So if you ever got killed by another player, that's not gonna happen anymore. Hopefully. Again, I'm gonna say hopefully, because I don't know if these fixes works yet. If these fixes work yet. Sentry turrets are now EMP'd. You know, now that I'm thinking about it, if we take Stormender, the EMP gun, into Dokabe's fortress, will it EMP turrets, Wilsons, and like her drones? Hellhounds, just, you know, fixes with Hellhounds or general updates. There's a bug with the Ram 7 that they fixed. Decoy nades. The duration from 6 seconds is now to 8. And then monkeys. Monkeys got buffed. So it's now 10.5 seconds and it now attracts Hellhounds. That's actually pretty good. That's actually pretty amazing. Some skin fixes. So this is huge. You can now leave squad. I've wanted that for a while because I didn't like the squad I was with. I wanted like to go off on my own. So that's pretty good. Leave squad. That's a W. Some more general fixes, and that's it. That's pretty much it for the patch notes. We skipped a huge chunk of it because you know, ranked play is gonna be, you know, this video should just be ranked play the video if I put that in here. But yeah, that's Season 1 Reloaded for Modern Warfare 3 and Warzone. I'll be posting my ranked play video right after this one goes up, so you guys stay tuned, and I'll catch you in the next one.